All right, let's start off by saying Barakat Yahweh, Bahashem Yahushai, Bahashem, Racha Kodash. Welcome to another live lesson. The name of this one is The Day Cometh That Shall Burn as an Oven. And pretty much those of you brothers that know, that have been studying, been around for a while, know that that's a direct quote from Malachi 4, which we're going to get that. And the inspiration for this video came to a video I was watching a little while ago. Elder Apostle Tahar, the super rich knows the end is here and they plan to escape it, which is going to be foolish. And pretty much I put this video in the description box, and somewhere in here, I forget exactly where, he mentioned, the apocalypse, because the guy mentioned the apocalypse, or the article mentioned the apocalypse. I forget exactly how it went down. And I believe he mentioned the word nuclear war or something like that. And it gave me, and that thought of this scripture popped in my head, and I figured I want to kind of go into that, through the spirit, to cover that, because that is a very important major prophecy that will be fulfilled at the very end when Yahushua comes back. And when most people read about words like Armageddon or the Valley of Decision or the Valley of Jehoshaphat, they really have no clue or idea what it means. Now, when you break those words down, like the word Armageddon, for instance, comes from the Hebrew word Har Magadwan. The word Har is mountain or hill, in this case mountain, and then the word God is the word for troop, G-A-D, troop, and then the one at the end makes it plural. The ma in front of the ga, Magadwan, is of or from. So Har Magadwan, when you put it together, is mountain of the troops, because that's going to be the final war, when all the militaries of the world will be joined together in World War III. And when Yahushua, Michael, and the rest of the archangels and the rest of the angels come, they're going to come for the deliverance of the elect of the nation of Israel. And they're also going to war and fight against Esau, their militaries, and the other nations and their militaries. Then we go into the word Jehoshaphat, or the Valley of Decision, which when you go to the Hebrew, it's Yahweh Shaphat. Yahweh means the Most High, He is or He exists. And the word Shaphat means judgment. So Yahweh's judgment. So this area over there in the Middle East, where all of these militaries are gathering together, is going to be the Valley of Decision, or Yahweh Shaphat, which is the final war to end all wars. After this war, there will be no more wars. After that, the kingdom will be established. The nations will be subjected to us as slaves. And everything, the military weapons that are left, the big high-grade military weapons, through the spirit and power of Yahweh Bashem Yahushai, Lord's will be part of the elect, will be going around the world, burning them up with spiritual power and destroying all of those weapons that are left. The military men and the people of the world that are part of these militaries of these other nations will take those military skills that they had and turn it into agricultural skills, pretty much, because they shall beat their swords into plowshares, which plowshare is a tool of farming. And that's what's going to happen. Now, it says here in Malachi 4:1, it says, "For behold, the day cometh that shall burn as an oven." Excuse me. So the question should be, what does that mean? Or how is this going to be accomplished? Because we read, it says, "The day cometh that shall burn as an oven." How can a day burn as an oven? Well, a good movie to watch is, which we always mention it, Terminator 2, Judgment Day. The part where Sarah Connor is having a dream where she's holding onto a chain link fence and she's, pushing on a chain link fence, trying to warn the people in the playground, which she happened to be one of the people in that playground, of the fire that was coming. And it was a nuclear wall of fire that was coming. And it showed you the people's flesh coming up off of their bones. And this they get from scripture. All right, this is the book of Zechariah chapter 14, verse 12. And this shall be the plague wherewith the Lord will smite all the people that have fought against Jerusalem. These heathen nations, the scoffers among Israel, the Israelites that came against the prophets, came against the word of the Lord. This is how the Lord is going to fight against you. This is going to be a plague. And when we deal with the word plague, we can take it, taking it to the streets, because the Lord's going to get vicious out here. We can take it here, and Lord's will, we'll read some of this. It says, and this shall be the plague wherewith the Lord will smite all the people that have fought against Jerusalem, because a plague is something that wipes people out. It's a sickness that wipes people out. Well, in this case, the missiles are going to be like a sickness that's going to go around the world and wipe people out, cleanse this world of all of the, unsavorables, for lack of better words. Let's go real quick to Revelation 21 and 8, and then we'll jump back. It says, but the fearful and unbelieving and the abominable, you should know what that means, and murderers and whoremongers, meaning those that sell prostitutes. Doesn't mean a man that lays down with all kind of women. Yo, you're a whoremonger because you keep popping all kind of women. No, you're just saying that because you're jealous because you can't get women, But a whoremonger is not a man that lays down with all kinds of women. A whoremonger, the word whore is a harlot, a prostitute. The word monger means to sell. You have warmongers, fishmongers, those that sell war, those that sell fish, so on and so forth. So a whoremonger is a pimp, somebody that sells prostitutes. All right. And sorcerers and idolaters and all liars shall have their part in the lake which burneth with fire and brimstone, which is the second death. Because the first death was what? The flood that came upon the world back then. And this destruction is going to kill a lot of people, along with Yahushua and the chariots and the angels with the lasers. That's why it says, and the slain of the Lord shall be many. So going back to Zechariah 14 and 12, and this shall be the plague wherewith the Lord will smite all the people that have fought against Jerusalem. Their flesh shall consume away while they stand upon their feet, and their eyes shall consume away in their holes, and their tongue shall consume away in their mouth. So what is going to be the thing that will cause people's flesh to consume away while they stand upon their feet, and their eyes to consume away in their holes, and their tongue to shall consume away in their mouths? That nuclear fire. Now, this is also speaking about, their visions, aspirations, and the things that they speak about going away. But ultimately, it's speaking about the destruction, the nuclear destruction. Why? Because it's going to wipe out everything, including the person, their dreams, their goals, their whatever. It's going to take them all out. So we read here in Zechariah that it was a plague. Let's just look up this word plague, see what it says. The word there is magapah, blow, slaughter, plague, pestilence, strike, smite, right? So it could be a plague as far as blows and a slaughter, a major slaughter, or it could be like a plague and pestilence as a disease. And you could call it like a disease, because when the missiles come, there's no way to escape it. The only ones that are going to escape, really, and when you get down to the nitty-gritty, the nuts and bolts of it, are the elite, because they're going to be the first ones to taste slavery, and they're going to think it's a good thing that they've built these bunkers around the world to hide, but it's going to be to their own demise, because once they come up out of there, guess what? They're going right into slavery. They're going to go from super rich to super poor. From Lord to servant to slave. So when we go to 2nd Ezra, then we'll go back to Malachi. It says, woe be unto thee, Babylon and Asia. Woe be unto thee, Egypt and Syria, because these are major parts of the earth that will get hit. But Babylon and Egypt is also, or are also, synonyms or names for America. Babylon the Great, or spiritually called Sodom and Egypt. Asia, which are all of those countries over there, is just because people see Asian, oh, you have slanty eyes, you're an Asian. The word Asian encompasses certain parts of Russia. It encompasses India, Pakistan, places like that. So it doesn't just necessarily mean somebody that has slanty eyes. It's pretty much over there in the Far East. All right. And part of Russia is in Europe and part of Russia is in Asia. You see? So Egypt and Syria, gird up yourselves with cloths of sack and hair. Why? Because the cloth of sack and hair represents what? It represents mourning. And as you read on, let's get that. I just want to get this other precept that came to mind. Just bear with me 1 second. Because you have to remember that these devils that have been ruling since the Renaissance period have never really been dealt a major blow. They've dealt major blows upon everybody else, but they haven't been dealt a major blow. Ruled the nations with a continual stroke. Yet and still, they're still ruling. They're still growing. They're still amassing wealth. They're still living it up. They're still living good. And they haven't been checked yet. So the Lord is telling them to gird up yourself the cloths of sack and hair. Bewail your children and be sorry, for your destruction is at hand. Why? Because they think that they can stay in power. Their inward thought is that the house shall continue for all generations, or something along those lines. They think that they can play the part of the Most High, like that devil Harari, that fudge packer talking about, we can piss God off as much as we want. In other words, if the Most High holds back the rain, they can create rain. If the Most High wants to kill them, they can make themselves live forever, be immortals, so on and so forth. So the consensus is that they're going to be here to continue to do all of this wickedness and continue to prosper. But they haven't paid yet, not one iota of everything that they've done. So Isaiah 47:7, it says, and thou saidest, and this is speaking about Babylon the Great, the daughter of Babylon, when you read the first verse. Matter of fact, come down and sit in the dust, O virgin daughter of Babylon. Sit on the ground, there is no throne. Why? Because you're in a lofty position, and you're going to come down to a low position. O daughter of the Chaldeans, because the Chaldeans were what? The wisest of the wise men back then. And when you go to the so-called Illuminati and their priesthood on the left-hand side, they are considered the wisest on the planet, because they are wiser than Daniel. For thou shalt no more be called what? Tender and delicate. You ain't going to be called tender, inside joke, and delicate. All right? So when we jump down to the 7th verse, it says, and thou saidest, I shall be a lady forever. Right. You're thinking that you're going to continue on. Hence Psalms 49. Right? So that thou didst not lay these things to thy heart. Meaning what? The end. Neither didst remember the latter end of it. And they didn't remember the latter end of it. Because like this one comedian, this Edomite comedian, could have been a Jake. He said that, they've been white. They've been doing all kind of dirt. They've been living it up. But they don't think about the consequences that's going to come later. But he said, but for now, in other words, live it up. And yeah, live it up. But they didn't remember the latter end of it. Because you have to remember one thing, that they know the scriptures. They have the scriptures. They know the scriptures. They don't know the deep mysteries of it, but they do now because of the prophets, you know. But they do know what's coming. These movie producers and directors are not such have such a broad imagination as to be able to make these different movies with chariots and wars with the chariots and the and the and the jets, you know, the militaries of the world, you know, and you know, about nuclear destruction and things of that nature, because their imagination is so vivid. No, they read these things in the scriptures. They know these things are coming. Some of them even have visions of these things. Like I believe one, I can't remember which producer it was, when they created that, one of those destruction scenes, they said they actually saw that, you know, the nuclear destruction. I'm not sure if it was the ones that created the Terminator series. So it says, therefore hear now this, thou that are given to pleasure. Right, and this is what it's all about. It's all about pleasure. This world, especially America, pushes what? An Epicurean type of lifestyle. You know, eat whatever you want, drink whatever you want, have sex with whoever you want. You know, if you can't love the one, you know, if you can't love the one you love the one you with. Free love and all that stuff. A decadent type of lifestyle. All right. It says that dwelleth carelessly. Right, because they don't have a care in the world. They go about doing what. This is why they are bold enough to say we can piss the Most High off, because they don't consider their latter end. They're pretty much saying that they don't need the Most High, because they know that the Most High is not for them. Why do you think they would put a movie line in their movie Fight Club, where the character that Brad Pitt played, he said, you know, that we have to consider that God doesn't love us, you know, or something along those lines. That's not just something that just pops up out of nowhere and you say, you know what, that sounds like a good movie line. Let me just jot that down and how you use it for a movie somewhere. No, that ain't an idea that just pops up in your head. This is something that is brought to your attention. Because remember, I believe, I'm not sure if that came out in the 90s or the late 80s, but the Israelites have been out there raising hell through the spirit and power of Yahweh by Shemel Shai. The whole Edomite thing, being these so-called white people, the ones that go back to the Edomites, has been being taught for a long time. The only thing missing in that movie was, you know, that Tyler Durden, or whatever the hell his name was, the character that Brad Pitt played, should have said that they were the Edomites. You know, that would have took it to the next level, and they would have really revealed who they got that from. All right, it says that dwelleth carelessly, saith in thine heart, I am, and none else beside me. Right, and this is what they think. They think that they're the Most High, and none else beside them. They think that they're the ones that wind their clock, that swing themselves. But that's because they're a bunch of fools, base men, fools. Base men goes back to men of no name. Because really, the most vilest, despicable, lowlife nation on the planet are the Edomites, beginning with the small hats. This is why when you read the book, The 13th Tribe by Arthur Koestler, these different Islamic, I guess you could say, for lack of better words, historians, when they would meet with these different kings, they would see the mannerism that these people lived, how filthy they were, how they stank, how they wore their drawers on them till they disintegrated, how they had their women sit in councils with them and had their legs cracked open, picking lice out of their cooch snatch. And you got to remember that these are men that are there to hold office with the king, so they got to keep their composure. But they got to remember all that to jot all that stuff down. And they got to deal with that funk. That dirty, deep down Edomite funk. It says, I shall not sit as a widow, neither shall I know the loss of children. This is why we read that in 2nd Ezra, which we're going to go back. But these two things shall come to thee in a moment, in one day. See, because it's only going to take 1 hour for the Most High to do away with this place. The loss of children and widowhood, they shall come upon thee in the perfection, they shall come upon thee in their perfection. Because the Most High is going to make a perfect work. It's going to be flawless. It's going to be like, there's nothing to compare to it. But if you get into a boxing ring, right? Let's say with Floyd Mayweather, and he boxes this one individual and knocks him out, let's say. But that round that he had with this guy was flawless because he didn't get hit once, and he was putting such sweet combinations together where he was tagging this dude at will, he was beating the hell out of him, and boom, then the dude hits the canvas. This is how the Most High is gonna hit this devil with so many blows he ain't gonna know where they came from. So it's gonna come upon him in their perfection. What? For the multitude of thy sorceries and for the great abundance of thine enchantments. And it goes on and on and on. This is a bad chapter. This is a heavy, heavy, heavy chapter that explains the character of these devils and where they're going. So going back here, the Lord said to gird yourself up for sack, with cloths of sack and hair. Bewail your children and be sorry, for your destruction is at hand. Right? It says a sword is sent upon you, and who may turn it back? Because the Most High is using these missiles as his personal military. Remember, he's another title for the Most High is the Lord of Sabaoth, or the Lord of Hosts, which is the Lord of the armies. And he has many different armies. All right. This one main army is going to be used once. And that's going to be to bring the total demise of the age of the Edomite. So long to the age of the Edomite. That's a title for a lesson right there. So long to the age of the Edomites. A fire is sent among you, and who may quench it? So how is this fire to be made? Let's go real quick to. Let's do two. Let's do both in Isaiah, and then let's hit on the same tab. Let's go to, and then let's go back, way back into time. Excuse me, Isaiah 9 and 5. Because kingdoms are usually brought down by what? By battles, wars. They lose strongholds, footholds. They gain strongholds, footholds. And eventually when they start getting the best of them and they start falling apart, and eventually they take them over. It's usually by wars. So it says, for every battle of the warrior is with confused noise and garments rolled in blood. And this is how battles have been fought since the beginning of time, until the nuclear age, when Esau started, because Esau's blessing was what? The sword. So when he came into power, eventually he would increase on that blessing, which is the nuclear missiles, the missiles in general, his tanks and so on and so forth. But the missile, that is his baby. This is why every time something's wrong, what? Let's nuke it. Because they have that great trust. They worship those missiles. Remember the movie Planet of the Apes, Beneath the Planet of the Apes, the second one, when they had those individuals that had a religion, what were they worshiping? They were worshiping the missile. They had a missile, it had Alpha and Omega on it, but they had a missile, and then it was like a religious ceremony, and they would go to it, and pretty much they were venerating that missile. Because Esau totally trusts in that missile. So all of these wars have been fought that way on the battlefield, with swords, knives, daggers, spears, arrows, so on and so forth. Men would gird it up, whether it was leather or metal or whatever. And there was always a loud roaring, because that's that adrenaline pumping, when warriors are out on the battlefield. You get that, and then that boosts your adrenaline. It gets you going. Right? It says, but this, meaning this final battle, shall be with burning and fuel of fire. Right. It's going to be with burning and fuel of fire. Because when we read in the book of Job, let's get that real quick before we go to the next one. And we're going to probably go back to Job because this is also another key chapter. Job, the 5th chapter, and others. I'm sorry, not Job 5. This Job 20. Let me just hit the point and then I may jump up after. Right here. Let me just hit this point and then we'll jump up. Job 20 and 26. All darkness shall be hid in his secret places. What are his secret places? Those bunkers, those underground fallout shelters. And what is going to happen? That everything that they had planned for the world to keep the world in darkness is going to die in those bunkers. Because the next step after the bunker, they thinking they're going to come back out and continue everything and set everything back up in order. So, okay, well, now we got to go to plan B. And plan B is going to be that they're going to be in slavery. It says, a fire not blown shall consume them. So what is this fire not blown? That means that the missiles, when they're on their way, you're not going to have to take matches or gasoline or anything, an accelerant, as they call it, to start the fire and to keep the fire going. Because the missiles themselves are going to be fire. And then Yahushua with the chariots and the lasers that come out of the chariots, that's going to be more fire. So this place is going to go out in a blaze of fire. A fire not blown shall consume him. It shall go ill with him that is left in his tabernacle. So anyone that's on the soils of America, whether you're underground, above ground, in shelters, wherever, there's going to be nothing here left because it said there will be no more inhabitants here. So all of those mountain retreats here in America, different shelters, people, that's going to be their grave. All right. So if the spirit hits, we could go back to it. So when it says, but this shall be with burning and fuel of fire, that's what it's talking about. A fire not blown, because you would have to, make a fire, strike a fire. Before they had matches, you had to scrape certain things together, flint, rock and stuff like that, until you get that spark. And then you would have to make sure you had, some stuff there that you can, when the spark hit it, it starts to catch on fire. Then you would have to kind of cultivate it and blow upon it, Then you had the blowing coal, that thing that blows wind into the fire, I forget what that's called. And that leads us into the next precept, which is Isaiah chapter 54. Okay. Playing around. If it doesn't, our apologies. We have experienced unexpected errors. Oh, yeah, sure you have. All right. Let me try another one and see what happens. Yeah, it's acting up. All right, no big deal. Won't be able to look up any words for the time being, but that's all right. Let's go to, that's why you got to have a backup plan. A backup to the backup to the backup. Isaiah chapter 54 and verse 16, right? It says, behold, I, meaning the Most High, have created the smith that bloweth the coals in the fire. So now what is a smith? Well, in the ancient times, matter of fact, let's see what happens when we type in the word smith. Beautiful. This is what I'm talking about, man. Right here, Smith, a worker in metal. Treat metal by heating, hammering, and forging it. So the Lord, the Most High said, I have created the smith that bloweth the coals in the fire. So this was a, damn, I forget what they call it, a something smith. They would make weapons, different type of lances and spears and swords and helmets and shields, breastplates, all kind of, anything that had to do with war, arrows and all of that. So that translated from ancient warfare to modern warfare, which is fought by a blacksmith, the water brother, which is fought by what? This nuclear technology that they have. So now, how was this nuclear technology that they have? How did it come about? Well, it came about by their scientists, And you had Robert Oppenheimer, which was I believe he was the head of the Manhattan Project, if I'm not mistaken on that. So let's go here. It says Manhattan Project. The Manhattan Project was a research and development undertaking during World War II that produced the first nuclear weapons. It was led by the United States, right? Because this is Babylon the Great. It was led by the United States with the support of the United Kingdom and Canada from 1942 to 1946. The project was under the direction of Major General Leslie Groves of the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers, nuclear physicist Robert Oppenheimer. And he's the one that quoted the quote from the Indian book called the Bhagavad Gita, where it says, I am become death, the destroyer of worlds. And he said that came into his mind as soon as he saw the blast, because he saw, pretty much at that moment, he saw what would happen at the end of the world and what would bring forth the end of the world, which would be this new technology that they just developed in the during the time of World War II. All right. It says, was the director of the Los Alamos laboratory that designed the actual bombs. The Army component of the project was designated the Manhattan District as its first headquarters, wherein Manhattan, the place name, gradually superseded the official code name development of substitute materials for the entire project. Along the way, the project absorbed its earlier British counterpart, tube alloys. The Manhattan Project began modestly in 1939, but grew to employ more than 130,000 people. And this wasn't just a regular Joe off the streets, and cost nearly US $2 billion, equivalent to about $23 billion in 2020. Over 90% of the cost was for building factories and to produce the fissile material, with less than 10% for development and production of the weapons. Research and production took place at more than 30 sites across the United States, the United Kingdom, and Canada. And you can read more of this. Those of you that haven't, read about this. The discovery of nuclear fission by German chemists, and notice it says a German chemist, which are the wise men of Teeman, Otto Hahn and Fritz Strassmann in 1938. And its theoretical explanation by Liz Meitner, this small hat. It says, and Otto Fisch. It says, made the development of an atomic bomb. And this is what began this whole nuclear age. A theoretical, and when we read the scriptures, it said that he causes fire to come down from heaven in the sight of men. So who did that? Who actually fulfilled that? That was Esau. We saw it first with World War, the ending of World War II. Which, when you deal with the ending of World War II and these dropping of these bombs, everybody always thinks about Hiroshima and Nagasaki. There were a whole lot of bombings going on in that time. Tokyo got bombed, and other places in Japan got bombed. But the final two that wreaked the most havoc was Hiroshima and Nagasaki. These Edomites did that because they are that beast system. There were fears that a German atomic bomb project would develop one first, especially among scientists who were refugees from Nazi Germany and other fascist countries. In August 1939, Hungarian-born physicists Leo Szilard and Eugene Wigner drafted the Einstein-Szilard letter, which warned of the potential development of extremely powerful bombs of a new type. It urged the United States to take steps to acquire stockpiles of uranium ore, because that's pretty much what it is, uranium ore, and accelerate the research of Enrico Fermi and others into nuclear chain reactions. They had it signed by Albert Einstein and delivered to President Franklin D. Roosevelt. Roosevelt called on Lyman Briggs, the National Bureau of Standards, to head the advisory committee on uranium, investigate the issues raised by the letter. Briggs held a meeting on 21 October 1939, which was attended by Szilard, Wigner, and Edward Teller. The committee reported back to Roosevelt in November that uranium would prove a possible source of bombs with a destructiveness vastly greater than anything now known. You heard that? They reported to him that the source of a bomb using uranium was with a destructiveness vastly greater than anything now known. And that's what's going to bring the end of this devil's, kingdom. Then you have, the Office of Scientist Research and Development. And these are the modern day Smiths. This is a meeting at Berkeley, California in 1940. It gives you a list of the different people that were there. Different fission bomb assembly methods explored during the July 1942 conference. So you have on and on and on. And these are scientists that are coming together under the supervision of, others that are pretty much came together to develop this weapon for defense of the American military and America in general. And after World War II, they brought in, they were able to snatch up half of the scientists that were in Germany. The other half went up to Russia. All right, and here you got all the different places. Got to give you a map of all the different places where, they had these different offices. They had some in Canada, as you see there, and here. They had some in England. Look at that. By May 1945, 82,000 people were employed at the Clinton Engineer Works. As you can see there. And what do you see? Mostly women. And then you had, of course you had the men, the scientists, so on and so forth. So this is very interesting. And this is how you got, your designs and your plans for these missiles. You got to remember, these devils worked. Just like they worked to get America, they worked. The Lord worked with their mind, man's going to serve the Lord, and worked with them to be able to put these things together. And gave them the necessary tool they needed for protection but also for their judgment. How's that for a master chess player? You know, then they had the design for the rockets, and that in itself, just the design of a rocket to get from point A to point B is a task in itself. You know, you have to have the right amount of fuel, the right amount of parts. They have to detach at the right time from each other to keep propelling just that warhead on the top from one part of the world to the other. Ain't that had about a something? And then the very silos and the missiles in the silos are spoken of in the scriptures. You know, they show you pictures of what they call the mushroom cloud. So it says, behold, I have created the smith that bloweth the coals in the fire, and that bringeth forth an instrument for his work. What was the instrument for his work? Those missiles. The Lord is cold. That's right, baby. And I have created the waster to destroy. And you can't tell me that those missiles don't waste. You know, the waster to destroy. I would like to look up that word. I mean, we've done it before. See, now we back on track, baby. All right, the waster to destroy. Let's look up the word waster. The word is shekath. Shekath. To destroy, corrupt, go to ruin, decay. So we're not only knowing that the day of the Lord cometh, that shall burn as an oven, but we're knowing what that fire consists of. It consists of the nuclear missiles and the lasers from the chariots. See? To be marred, be spoiled, be corrupted, be corrupt, be injured, be ruined, be rotted. To spoil, ruin, to pervert, corrupt, deal corruptly. So you get the idea. To ruin, to spoil, to destroy. The waster. And then it says the waster to destroy. And the Most High said that that he was the one that created the waster to destroy. And how did he do it? By putting those ideas and thoughts in Esau's mind, find the right type of, element that will bring the biggest devastation ever known to man. The word there is chabal. And then wrap it all up in one package. To bind, to take a pledge, lay to pledge. Give a pledge, spoil, deal corruptly. To destroy, ruin, yeah. And that's what's going to bring the demise of this devil. So it ain't just us out there cursing this devil out. You're the devil, you're the Edomite. But we also tell them that they're going to be destroyed according to the words of the Lord, Yahweh Bashem Al Shai, and in what fashion they're going to be destroyed. So, going back to Malachi, it says, for behold, the day cometh that shall burn as an oven, and all the proud, yea, and all that do wickedly shall be what? Shall be stubble. We just read in Revelation, the 21st chapter, that all liars and that create abominations, so on and so forth, are going to have their part in the lake that burns with fire, which is the second death, which is the destruction. And the day that cometh shall burn them up, saith the Lord of hosts, that it shall leave them neither root nor branch. Why? Because this is what the Lord said would happen. Let's go real quick to Isaiah 14. They're not going to have anything else to be able to leave for generational wealth or inheritances for their offspring, for their demonic brood, for their hatches. All right? Just bear with me 1 second. This whole chapter is dynamite too. Right, here we go. Let's start at 20. Thou shalt not be joined with them in burial, because thou hast destroyed thy land. You pretty much destroyed the world and slain thy people. Even your own people you come against. It says the seed of evildoers shall never be what? Renowned. So you're never going to ever be able to do anything else to get any type of recognition. You're not going to leave a name or a legacy on the earth, because your legacy is pretty much destruction. You are also the wasted, the wasted that destroys. It says, prepare slaughter for his children, for the iniquity of their fathers. And that ultimate destruction is what? Or slaughter is what? When after they serve their captivity, hardcore captivity, they're going to be rounded up and burnt. And after that, there will be no such thing as an Edomite. How about that? They're going to be like dung. It says that they do not rise, nor possess the land, nor fill the face of the world with cities. Never again will you rise up to commit any heinous crimes, because you're going to be done away with. Your sons, your daughters, nothing. For I will rise up against them, saith the Lord of hosts, and cut off from Babylon the Great, America, the name and the remnant, which are the what? The descendants, and sons and nephews, because daughters don't matter. Daughters can't bring back the nation. But even they're going to be destroyed. Saith the Lord, Yahweh Bahashem Yahushai. Barakatah Yahweh Bahashem Yahushai for that. I will also make it a possession for the bittern, which is what? These different desert creatures that are going to be inhabiting America. And pools of water. And I will sweep it with the besom of destruction, saith the Lord Yahweh Bahashem Yahushai of hosts, of the armies. And when you look at, let me see. Let's see if this comes up. This is where it starts. She's looking at the people. She's seeing the fire coming. Right? And this right here, this is what she sees. She sees herself like this, like a waitress with her kid. All right. Let's see if they give the I don't think they're gonna. Let's see if I put let's see if this comes. Oh, there we go. Beautiful. This is what I'm talking about. This is what I am talking about. There you go. This is what she saw. She saw the buildings. She saw the people at the playground, and then you start to see people start to smoke. You see the smoke coming up, and then a wall of fire just came through. The only thing, when they made this movie, they should have had all of the buildings being burnt. The elements shall melt with fervent heat. All of these, bushes melt. All of, the merry-go-round, the little, horses here, all of this is supposed to be melted to powder. And here you got another one where you start to actually see the fire coming through. Let's see if we can get any more. They show one with the fire sweeping through. That's something else. And then they show you, let's see this one. This one's a little bigger. There we go. This is her. So the only discrepancy here should be that this chain link fence should have burnt up also. They show the people burning up, and they show you that the flesh consuming off the skin while they stand upon their feet. These devils know. Trust and believe that they know what's going on. You don't just make a movie like this because, you know what? And then what happened here, they're showing you a picture of when because she was actually having a dream about this. And then she woke up from the dream, nervous. All right. See, they show you her here engulfed in flames. And this is just prior. See, the flesh consuming away while they stand up on their feet. Then you have here, boom, when the flesh finally came all the way off. But there ain't going to be no skeletons. The skeleton is going to burn off too. It's going to burn everything. The elements shall melt with what? Fervent heat. Meaning supreme fire. Matter of fact, let's go to that real quick. Just read that part and get that word. And when you read this whole chapter, another dynamite chapter, it goes into what? The coming day of the Lord. That's why it says, woe unto you that desire the day of the Lord. What is it for you? See, we want the Lord to come to destroy this place and to deliver us. These people are, the glorious day of the Lord, have no idea what it's talking about. Have no idea that it's comparable to the destruction at the beginning of the world, which was done by water, which was a flood, but this time is going to be by fire. So 2 Peter 3:10, a new heaven and earth, and this is what we're waiting for, a new heaven and a new earth, which is the same heaven and the same earth, just being refreshed. The Lord is going to hit the refresh button on it. Like you see here, you have a refresh button. You hit that refresh button, what's going to happen? The pages is going to refresh. Is it a new page? No, it's just a refreshed page. And when the new heaven and the new earth are established, they're going to be established under righteousness and under new government, new management, under the law, statutes, and commandments of Yahweh Bashem Yahushai. So it says here, but the day of the Lord will come as a thief in the night, because although we're telling these people, it's going to creep up on them unawares. In the which the heavens, which is what? Esau's and the other nations, heavenly state that they're living in, with their governments and their, the way that their rulership and all, shall pass away with what? With a great noise. What is that great noise? The missiles pelting down on America. Boom, 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 as High Priest Ariel used to go into. And that's found in the book of Psalms, the 91st chapter. Right here, Psalms 91:3. Surely he shall deliver thee from the snare of the fowler. The snare of the fowler is the trap of the bird catcher, which is Esau, which is what? The so-called NWO. But the MO to the TB being the C hip, the snare of the fowler, and from the what? Noisome pestilence. What is that noisome pestilence? The missiles pelting down. Boom, 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 boom. Because it's going to be so heavy that even the earth itself is going to be rocking and rolling to and fro. Let's go to Isaiah 19. I'm sorry, not Isaiah 19, Isaiah 24 and 19. It says, the earth is utterly broken down. The earth is clean dissolved. The earth is moved exceedingly. Why? Because the missiles are going to be hitting it. Matter of fact, let's start at 18. And it shall come to pass that he who fleeth from the noise of the fear shall fall into the pit, because it's going to be like it says in Amos, you're going to try to flee from a serpent, and the bear going to get you. You're going to try to flee from the bear, and the lion going to get you. Nowhere to run to, baby. Nowhere to hide. I was going to try to hit the note, but I can't sing, so There's a song. You know, there's nowhere to run to and nowhere to hide. Because if you go this way, the Lord got you. If you go that way, the Lord got you. If you try to go any other way, He's going to drop a dime on you, okay? Inside joke. That was funny. He said, I don't know if they went up there and told you, but phone calls ain't a dime no more. It's 50 cents. It says, and he that cometh up out of the midst of the pit shall be taken in the snare. Right. So no matter where you at, you're going to be taken. For the windows from on high are open, and the foundations of the earth do shake. Why? Because the Lord is going to cause the missiles to come raining down. And remember, it says here, the windows from on high are open, which is what? The ozone layer. But check this out. When the flood came, did not the Lord open up the floodgates up in the heavens and the floodgates in the deep? To bring what? More water. Well, this time He's going to bring more fire. The earth is utterly broken down. The earth is clean dissolved. The earth is moved exceedingly. Why? Because of the pelting down of those missiles. Which causes what? The earth to shake. The water to shake. Which causes what? Tsunamis, earthquakes. The earth shall reel to and fro like a drunkard. Why? Because of the noise and pestilence that's going to be hitting it. Boom, 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 boom. Shaking, rocking, and rolling. Look at those pictures of these different videos where they show you nuclear missiles. You know? All you gotta do is look at that. Just bear with me 1 second. I'm trying to see if I can find one that'll show the earth actually shaking. That was the blast, the initial blast. Mushroom cloud. Heavens rolled together as a scroll. And watch. See the earth? Boom. The earth shall reel to and fro like a drunkard. Look at that. That is, man, that's why the prophet said, you know, who shall deliver me in those days? It's going to be horrible, man. It's going to be a horrible work that the Lord is going to do on this place. The earth shall reel to and fro like a drunkard, and shall be removed like a cottage. And the transgression thereof shall be heavy upon it. Why? Because that's where the Lord is bringing the destruction, because of the transgression that's on it. You can read Isaiah 13. You know, Genesis 6. The Lord saw the wickedness of man, that it was great upon earth. And it shall fall and not rise again. Meaning what? That Esau will not be able to build back up where he left off. Now, how do we know that it's not talking about the earth? Because devils like vocab say, you know, no, it's just going to be destroyed. Pretty much like the Death Star. How do we know that the earth is not going to fall and never rise again? That's going to be the destruction. Well, when we go to Ecclesiastes, you know, for the newer members, 1 and 4, it says, one generation passeth away, and another generation cometh, but the earth abideth forever. Because the earth was set up for what? It was set up for man to dwell in. Let's go to Psalms 115 and 16. The heaven, even the heavens, are the Lord's, Yahweh Bashem Yahushai. But the earth hath he given to the children of men. Right, and this is for what? To dwell in. So the earth is going to be here forever. So where were we? I hope I didn't get rid of the... Yeah, I did get rid of the main page, didn't I? Show did. Let's read that again. The earth shall reel to and fro like a drunkard, and shall be removed like a cottage, and the transgression thereof shall be heavy upon it, and it shall fall and not rise again. And it shall come to pass in that day that the Lord Yahweh Bashem Yahushua shall punish the host of the high ones that are on high, which are what? These kings or these top rulers, which is what? The ruling banking families that are ruling the governments of the world through their corporations. And the kings of the earth upon the earth, which is what? The ones that are in the top rulership positions, which people don't know about. People are waking up to some of them, but they're usually behind the scenes. The Rothschilds, Rockefellers, Gettys, DuPonts, the Merovingians, the Oppenheimers, and so on and so forth. And they shall be gathered together as prisoners are gathered in the pit, because this is where you're going, right into captivity. And shall be shut up in the... And you notice that in the series of the Planet of the Apes, those Edomites were wearing loincloths. And they were what? In captivity under the apes, which really represents us, the Israelites. And shall be shut up in the prison. After many days shall they be visited. Yeah, because they're going to be prisoners. All right. So, let's see what else we got. We read that. Noise and pestilence shall go ill with him that is left in his tabernacle. So 2 Peter 3:10, but the day of the Lord will come as a thief in the night, in the which the heavens shall pass away with a great noise, and the elements shall melt with fervent heat. The earth also and the works that are therein shall be burnt up. So let's look up those two words, and we could close it there because the point is made. Great noise. Elements shall melt. You know what? Let's look up those three. Melt. Luo. To loose any person or thing. Bandage. To loose or bound. One bound with chains. Loose and dissolve. To break up. To loose what is compacted or built together, right? That's the elements, the buildings, so on and so forth. To break up, demolish, destroy. To dissolve something coherent into parts, to destroy. So Mosai is going to take this place apart. Fervent heat, kauso. You have something called, I can't think of it right now. It starts with a C, kaus something. Cauterize. When you cauterize something, you burn it. Kausao. To burn up, set fire to. To suffer with feverish burning, be parched with fever. And those missiles are going to be the sickness and the fever of Esau, to set on fire. Fervent heat. And the last one is, the works therein shall be burned up. Katakahio. To burn up, consumed by fire. All right. So that's what's going to, matter of fact, let's read this again. For behold, the day cometh that shall burn as an oven, and all the proud, yea, and all that do wickedly shall be stubble. And the day that cometh shall burn them up, saith the Lord of hosts, that it shall leave them neither root nor branch. So now we know what this is speaking about. We know how, the world is going to end. Esau's world is going to end. It's going to end by fire. And now we know what type of fire is coming in and in what fashion. The nuclear missiles and the lasers from the chariots. All right. But unto you that fear my name shall the Son of righteousness rise with healing in his wings. This is what we're waiting for, Yahushua, to come with healing in his wings. And you shall go forth and grow up as the calves of the stall. We're going to be taken care of. Lord's will we be the elect. And you shall tread down the wicked. I don't know what Bible vocab is reading. For they shall be ashes under the soles of your feet in the day that I shall do this, saith the Lord Yahweh Bashem Yahushua of hosts. So I guess the Israelites are going to be Gentiles because they're going to lord over the other nations. This guy has a clown and white face. So with that, I pray that you brothers and few sisters have been edified. To the next time I say shalom.